We're discussing different ways to travel to Walt Disney World. Plus, Josh fills us in on his latest trip there. Let's bring back the magic.
Bring back the magic for all to see. Together we'll discover all the joy and gloom. In every story, there's a little bit of gold. Join our podcast adventure, let the magic unfold.
All right.
Hello.
Bring back the magic time, everybody. Okay, so this show is brought to you by Theme Park Chuckle. Make sure you check them out at themeparkchuckle.com to grab you a funny Disney-based t-shirt or two, such as the ever so cute 99 Problems, but a Stitch Ain't One t-shirt. Grab yours today at themeparkchuckle.com.
That's a cute
All
one.
right. As always, I'm one of your hosts. I'm Josh.
And I am his sister, Gina.
Of course, she's my sister. We look alike, don't we? She's just better looking.
Yeah. We're not fishing for those compliments you get in the comments section anymore, Josh.
Yes, if you want to send compliments, feel free to skip to Malou and send them below. All right.
But while we're on that topic, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment if you feel so inclined, because we really do enjoy it, and we aim to comment back to each of you. So if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, which is the only place to see it as of right now, please make sure you like and subscribe. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And as a reminder, this is rated TV 14. So any younger viewers, listeners, make sure you have your parents' permission before listening. But we do keep it clean here on Bring Back the Magic podcast. And we always will, because we're good people and we're not just fishing for clickbait stuff and using the bad words, the naughty words. You know what I mean? So TV 14. Okay. So what do we got going this week?
Well, I think that first we were going to let me check my list that Josh made so nicely for me. I think we were going to jump right into, because you just got back from Disney, you lucky dog.
Indeed,
and made
I did. Yeah, I took
a solo trip.
Yeah, I took a quick little jaunt down to Orlando, to the Mecca of happiness, which is Walt Disney World, which is what we always discuss on the show, and it warms my heart. And let me tell you, it's weird when you drive down to Disney by yourself. So we'll get into that a little bit later, as our main topic of the show is, ways of getting down to Disney. But I had an absolute blast. You do get that kind of, I miss the people I love hanging out at Disney with kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And you can't really describe that to people when they haven't really been Disney people and go to Disney a lot. Like somebody goes there once, like, oh, well, what's the big deal? I went to Disney, this time or that time. You're like, no, when you're always used to going with a certain group of people and you're so happy to spend time with them, it's a whole different thing. So when I got down there, I went down there strictly to take some pictures, take some videos, of course, go to my favorite places. And it's funny because this trip to Disney, I literally got on maybe one ride because I was so enthralled with taking some videos, because we need it for some content for the show. And I'm cheap and I don't want to be paying for people's rights to use their photos. Just kidding. I go to Disney enough that I should have just an arsenal of Disney pictures, and I'm so unorganized. I'm sure I have them, but it was easier for me to go to Disney, take new pictures, than to dive into a hard drive and try to find where all these other pictures were. And so that's what I did. I went down there and I had a fantabulous time. If that's a word.
I was going to ask you, so now that we're doing the podcast, obviously we've been to Disney a billion times, I would wager to say, and that's not an exaggeration.
No, that's a literal term.
But for all the times we've been, I think that, and as soon as I start talking on here, I feel like I immediately get ready to say the words, but that's for another podcast, because immediately an idea pops into my mind, and I know we're trying to stream it to singular topics, but I do think that there's a difference in what you experience, obviously, as a child, then when you go as an adult, and then when you go as a parent. But going now, because you've gone down there before, like by yourself, you've walked around Disney by yourself before. I've never done that. But now that we're doing the podcast, did you find like that your eyes kind of shifted, besides just gathering content? Did you find like being there, you were kind of seeing things through a little bit of a different lens at all?
I don't know. I was going down there expecting for the few people that have watched this podcast to swarm me immediately and go, there's Josh, Bring Back the Magic podcast. Oh my God, I want to kick him. That's like, that's the only thing. No, honestly. No, I went down there. it refreshed me a little bit, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's not so much new eyes, but different eyes.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at it from a perspective like, man, I hype myself even more by doing this show with you.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it amped up my magic, it amped up my energy.
yeah.
Sometimes I get a little bit sad when I'm at Disney by myself, and it's only happened a few times. Usually it's a stopover if I'm taking a cruise, and those who know me, I love to cruise. Um, so I'll like stop that one day, especially if I'm going out of Port Canaveral. I
Right.
will stop one day in Disney, do something, meet up with my one buddy Jeff, who lives in Orlando. If I get a chance to see him, it's great, and then I'll just instantly go somewhere in Disney. And I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
But when you're there for multiple days, first of all, you could take it kind of easy because there's nobody telling you what to do. I
Yeah.
didn't do that. I literally pushed myself to where my feet felt like they were gonna fall off. Like, I don't know what's going on in older age, but my feet were killing me, and, like, I'm like, there's parts of my body I didn't know that were, like, woken up, that it, like, hurt, and, like, I got, like, cracking and I don't know, not itching and burning, that's a whole other subject, but I got back.
That's beyond TV 14, I think.
Well, I get back to the room and I'm like, I feel like I'm old because I'm like, I put my feet up and I'm like, oh, this is great. Let the air conditioning hit them.
Yeah.
Also, pro tip, if you're going to Disney and you're staying at the boardwalk and in one of their garden view rooms and the laminate floor, be careful as to not spray your sunblock on you anywhere in that room, as you will go careening across the floor on your bare feet
That's the
when you
kind of
try to walk
content
on it.
that's the
It
kind of
is like
content we need,
ice.
Josh.
Say again.
I said that's the kind of content we need on our socials.
Yes, make sure you don't break your neck when you're trying to spray lotion on your feet so you don't get burned. I opted not to burn my feet, but to break my ankle. It was a totally different trade-off. But
Yuck.
again, I had a great time going around the parks and getting to take some film and some pictures of things. I got some really cool pictures, and I got some really good ideas to put up onto our YouTube channel for some content you guys can watch. At your leisure, put it that way, and some little cool things you can have on the background. That's all I'll say about that. Like, but some cool stuff coming. Just put it that way. But that is pretty much in a nutshell me going to Disney because I don't want to spoil everything I did because maybe we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Sounds good to me. What were the crowds like, real quick? What were the crowds like right now?
Finn, it was weird. It was a weird week because first of all, we're DVC members, and I was able to get a room like no problem that week at multiple hotels. That never happens. It was like from like Monday to Thursday, especially. And this was the week of what is this? The
This is
9th.
mid-April,
So,
basically. This
yeah,
is
like yeah,
mid-April
it's like
for anybody who's
early
listening to
April.
this later.
So the crowds were not bad. Like it wasn't bad anywhere.
Mhm.
Again, I didn't really get on many rides, but I was able to get into my favorite places, my little walk up. I love to go to in China. I went twice this trip. Once on the day I was leaving, went to the Lotus Blossom because I get their orange chicken. It is pretty dang good when you go in there and you're craving it, especially one of
Yeah.
my favorite walk ups in Disney.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we, meaning me, the royal we,
I was gonna say,
had a very
me
enjoyable
and my
time.
me and my personalities.
Me, myself, and I. Yeah, I just, you know what? It was refreshing. It rejuvenated me to the point where I could come home and feel crappy once I got home because I'm not in Disney. But I do have a trip coming up next month, which we've talked about before. Plan your next trip when you're already on a trip. So I kind of did that this time, and Gina and I will actually be in Disney in May. So if you see any of us in the park, say hello.
And I do think that that's just like a perfect example again of what we talk about all the time on this show is that the more you talk about Disney, it is part of what keeps the magic going when you're not there, but it's also what kind of feeds your habit. Is like the more you talk about it, it's like you got to get your fix in. So I wasn't supposed to be going again, nor were you, I think, till November at the end of this year. And then we started doing this podcast, and it was like an itch that needed to be scratched that we were like,
Look at that.
I feel like we need to get back there sooner than that. And so lo and behold, we're going next month. I love that.
It's going to be awesome. Then
Yeah.
again, we'll have plenty of things. And, if you're following us on social media and all, get our numbers up on there so we can go live and do things and have fun and share some content for you, especially on the TikTok, as the kids call
I
it.
gotta say though, like, and again, with things on the internet, you never know when someone will be watching this, but at present time, for the short amount of time that we've been doing this show, I'm so grateful again to the Disney community about how fast things have come together, because like we passed 500 followers on Instagram. I think we're like just about at, or not past 500 on TikTok. And then we're reaching 500 subscribers on, YouTube. And that's just
Thank you,
huge.
Walt. Thank you very
We are
much.
so excited because like I know from doing social media and other avenues that takes time to build a network like that. It takes time to get the followers that are not bots or paid for or anything like that. So again, big shout out to all of you in the Disney community. We love this community. We've always loved it as being, a fan of it and a guest of Disney and just a lover of Disney. But now being on this, I would say creator side, because it still just feels like we're fans talking. I told someone the other day the best way to describe, or maybe I said it in our post, the best way to describe it is it's like a love letter to Disney. Like I feel like this podcast is a love letter to Disney about all the memories we've had, everything we love about it, with like a little tough love in there about, hey, something I've noticed that maybe we could get back to, or hey, this is where you're at your best. Let's encourage you to find that part of you again. So
Yeah,
very excited.
it's like your drunk uncle. You want him to get sober just so he could be fun again, and not your drunkle. Yeah, so
Exactly what I was
you love
thinking,
him all
Josh.
the same, but you want him to be fun again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll go into our segment. We've done this once before. We're gonna do it again. It's asking Alexa Disney questions.
We got some Disney questions. Alexa, give us the goods. Alexa, give us the goods. We got some Disney questions.
All right. So this week, what are we asking? Let's see. Alexa, what is the maximum capacity of Walt Disney World?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, the maximum capacity that Disney World can hold is 320,000 people. The breakdown between the parks is 110,000 people at Epcot, 60,000 people at Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, and 100,000 people at the Magic Kingdom.
Wow.
I feel like what did they say? They were saying it's how many different parks? Did they get all 4 parks in there?
Yeah, because they said it was the same for Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom.
Oh, wow.
It was 100. It was over 100 for Epcot. It was 60,000 for Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, and then it was 100,000 for Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, isn't like we're originally from Baltimore area, and M&T Bank Stadium is where the Ravens play, and that holds about 70,000 people. It's a large stadium. That's just picture that full and then dumped into one spot. Like again, that's a lot of people, but you figure that's like literally 4 times plus that many people, just on Disney property at one time. You figure what traffic's like when you're trying to get somewhere. When
That's even more than that, because you got to figure in the hotels and then at Disney Springs and at the water parks and on the roads and what have you. I mean,
crazy.
So many more people. It is crazy. It's also crazy to think that of those 100,000 people that are at Magic Kingdom each day, 90,000 of them are usually in line for Peter Pan. And
you're like, why? It's Peter Pan.
I do love that ride, though. I just feel like that's like a nostalgic magic ride for me. And I still, as a child, just always believe.
Yeah, it's cute. With there's no line, that ride is great. If there's ever a line,
75 minutes. Yeah, I don't want to.
And then as I got older, I think It's a Small World also became creepier and creepier. And that's one of those rides you don't want to get. You do not want to get locked in. Like if it was after hours in Disney and all the things were still on and you were just sitting there by yourself in a lonesome boat going around.
Anything could be creepy like that. Anything could be creepy. But I feel like since this is a brother-sister podcast and we talk all the time about, we love sharing like our personal Disney memories. I know you will probably know what story I'm going to tell real quick. Is that It's a Small World. I always loved it as a child. I loved it, even as a Disney adult because it's so iconic. But one of my favorite reasons I love it now is a memory of you and me and my son when he was a baby and we were in Magic Kingdom and it was fireworks time and he was probably less than maybe just about a year old, and I was holding him and the fireworks were obviously so loud. We were watching them from behind the castle, which pro tip, I think that's also, if you've already seen and you don't care about the projections, which I know is crazy to say about Happily Ever After, but if you just want to see the fireworks, watching them behind the castle is such an amazing view because you feel like they surround you. The fireworks, it's like they're all around you. It's amazing. But anyway, I said, I'm going to run and get on It's a Small World because obviously there was no line. I'm going to run and go get on it with my son. And so as I was in line, like almost to the boats, you came running behind and you were like, wait. I don't want you to go by yourself. And you, me, and my son Massimo rode it by ourselves. Like, or, there's maybe like 2 other people in the boat, but rode it. And it was just so sweet that you just came running to like get on with us. And that's why it's like,
that warms my heart because I love you guys. Also, the fact is I probably had an asthma attack the entire boat ride. Josh goes running anywhere.
But it's like a little memory now whenever I see that ride. Like what I said in previous podcasts is Disney is a scrapbook of my life. When I go there, I'm always seeing a memory like flashing at each different location. It's like, oh, remember when we did that there? Remember that there? Remember this? And that's what we love to talk about on the podcast. So that's why
it's great
another
memory
reason we started
recall.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my daughter Peyton hates It's a Small World because she thinks it's creepy with the dolls, but she's not a big doll fan.
Yeah.
Gina and I both grew up in a house where my mother was our mother, not just mine, yours too, obsessed with collecting dolls. And they would just be like these most realistic looking dolls. And there was one for some reason. This is a side note, has nothing to do
know
with
what you're getting ready to say.
Everything to do with terror. In our one house, there was a bathroom in the basement and there was a shower. And my mom had this gigantic doll. I don't know if she was dressed
in like 4 feet tall. It was like 4 feet tall in a big
she
dress.
Was in the stand-up shower. Just standing there like, what kind of horror movie start is this? Yeah. It is the most ridiculous. Like, again, nothing to do with Disney, everything to do with the most horrifying thing. It's like the bride from the Haunted Mansion just staring you in the face as you go to take a leak. You're like, next bathroom, please. I'll use the one upstairs, lock the door, and then throw a match in there and burn it all down. I don't care. It's just awful. But she doesn't like dolls. I don't really like dolls that much either. So, I mean, it's cute. But if you look at It's Small World and you look at the Mexican boat ride, same kind of deal applies. It's basically It's a Small World-esque. The same thing applies for that ride. But I still can't get like the start of the Mexico boat ride when you go through there. I love that with like the pyramid and everything. That just, to me, that's quintessential Disney. And that's where my trip begins when I go in there and I go to San Angel and I have my queso fundido and all that in there. And I just, I love the view. And there's a hidden Mickey in that smoke that pops up off that pyramid. If you watch it, there's a hidden Mickey in there. I got completely sidetracked on that. But yeah, so we asked Alexa a question about the about attendance, and then all of a sudden we're talking about queso fundidos and hidden Mickeys. I don't know how that leads in there, but let's just say 320,000. It said 320,000 people, and it feels like 2 million sometimes. If you go the wrong time of year, especially when it's sweltering hot, it always feels that way. But
I can't do the like heavy, like even when we renew our pass and they tell us what the blackout dates are, and I'm like, if you're getting ready to say Christmas, which I think you are, they're like, yeah, Christmas, and then I think it's like Easter week or something. I'm like, I'm not going those times anyway because it's gonna be crazy crowded, and I don't want to do that. So, but honestly, it almost feels like maybe because the crowds can feel, because Magic Kingdom, obviously, I think you feel the crowds the most because it's the tightest park. It's like the walkways are the smallest. Everything is the most narrow. I mean, there are some spaces like over maybe like Frontierland. It can be a little wider, but generally it feels the tightest to me. And so I think that's why that number almost seems low to me, like by standard. Because when you're saying like, oh, when you're at a football stadium and you know like 70,000 people are walking around and they're spread out just on the footprint of a stadium, it doesn't feel like that same crowd. But I don't know. But it's interesting to know that little tidbit.
Yeah, it's just all of them are either in line for Peter Pan or to get a Figment popcorn bucket. There's only 2 places that many people stand.
Or Rite of Passage.
So let's get into our main topic for the day, or for the podcast rather, is what ways basically do you get, or what are different ways rather of getting to Disney? So as Gina and I grew up, the way we got to Disney was, we've heard it in another podcast before, the old blue Econoline van. We drove from basically outside of Baltimore all the way down to Orlando through all the spots in between, getting there via van. Okay. Like the Tony Danza Express. Okay. We got down there, but driving is one way. Is one way. I think it's not as popular.
I mean,
for
it
most
depends where you're
people.
driving from. It all depends
Yeah,
where you're driving from. Are you
it's
driving from Canada or are you driving from Georgia? You know, like it's really going to depend on your location. For us, obviously, from youth driving from Maryland, now we live in Pennsylvania, like it's doable. You know,
yeah,
it's doable. I think the thing for us, I know we'll get into, is really like different parts of the journey are different
yeah.
completely because of what they may,
Well,
what we encounter.
it's definitely proximity. Like if you're in Florida, you're going to drive. Nobody's taking a flight anywhere in there. It's just not economically sound to do it. Now that's the difference. Like when you get down to Disney, are you driving because you want to drive down there, or are you
Mhm.
literally trying to beat airfare?
Mhm.
Because look at now Southwest, one of the most popular airlines to fly into Orlando. If you're going
Mhm.
to an MCO, they're talking about their baggage stuff now where it won't be free bags. So that was a
Yeah.
big hoopla in the news. That
Mhm.
caused quite a kerfuffle, if I may say so,
Yeah.
about their bag charging, because that was again something where people are like, okay, the first 2 bags are free. We get this. We have a associated costs with our trip. And if you have a family, I mean, let's just say the most normal families by mom, dad, maybe 2 kids, one to
Mhm.
2 kids. So you got 3 to 4 people you're paying for to get down to Disney. And if you're flying's fun. Uh, if you're flying with your family and you guys get along. If you do not get along with your family, flying and being in an airport is like the worst idea. Next to driving. Driving's even worse because you have to be trapped in a car if you're coming from somewhere like us and it's like 15 hours away and you got to
Yeah.
be with some member of your family you can't stand. That's going to be a problem, and you're probably going to kill them by South Carolina. They're going to be out the window. You're going to go by here. There's probably more than enough bodies buried at south of the border. I'm just saying it's the most seedy place on the planet,
Mm.
and I don't know how they pay for those billboards. That's one thing. When you're driving down, okay, let's paint a picture for everybody who's not from the East Coast. If you're
Yeah.
driving down from Pennsylvania, you're going to go from Pennsylvania, you're going to go through Maryland, the DC, Virginia area, you're going to enter into North Carolina. And as you get to South Carolina, there is a old place that's ginormous from I-95 called South of the Border. And South of the Border has like a motor park, has like a little, I don't know, they could have a petting zoo for all I know. They have the world's worst gas station there with bathrooms that look like Saul was filmed in
I
them.
feel like when you and our sister Brianna went there not that long ago, I guess it was like maybe it was a year or so ago, maybe it's 2 years ago.
Oh
Like
no, it was many years ago.
you're the only ones that I know actually stopped there.
Yeah, I know. That's what
Like
I'm
we would
saying.
always drive by it and say south of the border, and that was like the
Have
exciting way to
have
know
you
we were
ever
close.
had to purchase a billboard for anything? They are not cheap, and I would venture to guess that on I-95 it is not cheap to have that many things. They're always funny billboards. Then Buc-ee's came along, and they go through with their
Again.
funny billboards, but they got so many of them. And you think about monthly; these are thousands of dollars monthly, but
Yeah.
there's literally nobody there. It's lit up in neon. I don't know if they're running drugs out of south of the border. It could be. Who knows? But all I know is the bathroom, like I said, looked like Saul had been filmed there. It's complete opposite of a Buc-ee's. If you go to a Buc-ee's, it's the nicest place you need to use the bathroom versus the worst place you need to use the bathroom. And I don't want to get into that talk. But then the gift shop just smells like pee. So apparently people would rather pee in the gift shop than in the restroom because that's what it smells like. And it's everything you get from like orientaltrading.com. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
So that's that place. But if you go down I-95, you're going to hit that about South Carolina. The new thing for us is, like I said, Buc-ee's. So Buc-ee's is this epic. If you haven't been to one, go to one. If you see one, it's worth stopping by. They've got decent barbecue, like brisket sandwiches. They do that in house. It's like a Cracker Barrel gift shop slash like a really nice like
Gas
convenience
station.
store that has good food and ginormous gas station all rolled into one. And it's just like a mecca. But you go there, it's easy in, easy out, really nice people, extremely clean, and their bathrooms are literally a joy to go into because it looks like you could eat your food in there, and private stalls and everything else if you got some business to take care of down 95. And there's multiple ones. I know that they opened up the one in Florence, South Carolina. There's one when you come up towards, I think, like the Golf Hall of Fame. It's in one area. Then you got one in Daytona Beach. They're adding more as they go along. And on your way from where we're at down to Orlando, it's nice because you can be like, okay, it's only X amount. I judge my trips by how many miles to Buc-ee's now. So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, it's this one. There's another 80 miles to the
Yeah.
next Buc-ee's, which I'll have to stop by. And after I had the brisket sandwich at the first Buc-ee's, I might need to go to the second Buc-ee's. Not saying why, but that's, it's little places you can stop off. Like there's not somewhere on 95. Like, let's see the world's biggest ball of yarn kind of thing. I don't know where that is. If I knew, I'd probably stop at it.
Yeah.
But south of the border, maybe you see where somebody got killed. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's people buried in there. I'm just saying. I know
It may be the world's largest sombrero because I feel like,
it
the
probably is.
there.
I think that's what they got. Maybe that's their claim to fame. And it looks like the world's biggest. You ever seen those lemon juicers? That kind of looks like
It
it.
does
Like,
look like that,
thing. Yeah, it's like, here you go.
I was gonna say, to streamline a little bit what we're talking about for the podcast. So we're talking about the different ways you can get there. Obviously, it's drive or fly. For some people, there is the option of the train. But going back to, let's say, driving, because we've been doing that more frequently. Like you said, as children, that was the way to go. As a family of 6 at the time, and flights were way cheaper back then than they are now, but it was the most economical way. It's just tanks of gas you're paying for at that point, and drive straight through, whatever. Then we started flying because flying was the way to go, and why not? It gets you there quicker. It was just easy. Then when we first talked about ever driving down there, I remember thinking, why would we ever do that again? And shout out to our sister Brianna, because I know she cannot get over, and she's done it with you and with me, but it's like, why would you do that when you can get there so much faster on flight? And here are what I feel like are the primary arguments for that.
The benefits of it.
But the primary thing about driving versus flying, obvious, like you said, is economical. If you can get a cheap fare on some of those like airlines like Frontier and Spirit, and they're doing something, hey, it may be worth it to you to do that. Also, you have to worry about weather. Now, yes, you're driving in weather, but you have a lot more control over your journey when you're driving. Like we've been driving and said, oh my God, it's pouring rain. Let's pull off to the seedy Pizza Hut and eat while we let the rain settle a little bit.
I don't know how we made it out of that Pizza Hut. I'm pretty sure we were going to be killed.
For me, one of the biggest selling points of driving and why I do not mind doing it anymore is packing. I detest the pack to fly because all I'm thinking is the weight of my luggage and going, okay, I'm trying to cram it because I'd rather have just one suitcase. And if you're taking one, you got to be so conscious of what the weight of the suitcase is. And it's like, okay, so packing, and that annoys me. Then knowing coming home that I've now got to be aware of, do I have room in my suitcase? So a lot of us do that thing where you pack a flat duffel bag in the top of your bag, in the top of your suitcase, and then whatever you buy, you can put in it. But also if you want to buy something breakable, I don't want to pay shipping to get something back from Disney that's breakable. So since we've been driving on certain trips, it is so nice. And actually it's my kind of little ritual I do. When I go to pack for Disney, I put on, we've talked about it, like Resort TV 1, where it looks like on YouTube, it looks like the Disney thing with the blue background and the hours and everything like that. I put that on and I'm in my room and I'm just listening to the music that goes with that and packing my bag up, knowing that if I needed to have, let me throw a little duffel bag of stuff of my son's, or let me do this. It's so easy. And also the timing is yours. There's nothing more stressful than planning out how soon you got to get to the airport, knowing, God, what if you hit a traffic jam? What if there's this? What if you get to the certain parking garage you normally park at and it's closed or it's full? You got to do that. To me, travel day when I fly, yes, you are getting there faster, but it is stressful to me. I take our mother who's turning 79 next month. I have my 8-year-old son, and it's the 3 of us that travel. So if we're not going with you or a friend, I know that I've got to carry my luggage. Our moms take care of her luggage. I've got my son who has his little wheelie. He can do his best. But then we drive, and it's about an hour at least to get to the airport because we fly out of BWI. Driving down there. Then we get to the lot, and I like doing the one that picks you up right at your spot. But if that one's closed, I got to go to the parking garage where you've now got to take your suitcases to the bus stop. So I'm carrying all these to get, and then get on the bus and hope they're waiting for me to get my mom on, get my son on, and our luggage, and then get everything off and then go through security. And then once I'm through security, I feel fine. The flight isn't the part I worry about at all, but then it's doing the whole same thing again. Those things are stressful to me, and it's not always worth getting there faster. So to me, knowing that when we go to leave, we're on our own time schedule. We're like, okay, we say we're going to leave at this time. We need to leave a little later. Okay, we need to do this. Somebody's got to go to the bathroom. Okay, we can stop and do that. You're tired from driving. Let me pull off and do this. I love that control and it gives you. It's just, to me, if you've never driven, and again, it all depends where you're coming from. If you're in California, it may not be, worth it to drive to Disney World. I just think think that part of it, like put that in the equation, because it may surprise you how much you fall in love with that benefit of driving. And when you
Yeah.
buy stuff, being like, I can buy whatever I want because as long as it fits in our car, great. I don't have to worry about it breaking. I don't have to worry about that. If we have alcohol that we bought in our room, to drink in the room, we can take that back easily. It's like, I hate leaving food in the room. Like we buy stuff when we stay in a
Yeah,
DVC
that's wasteful.
and you
Yeah.
leave it all. And of course, we always leave a note for housekeeping, mousekeeping, and be like, okay, if you want these waters, anything that wasn't open, like please feel free to take it. But when you drive, you can take everything with you. So there's a lot of things I think people wouldn't realize until you experience it of why driving really can be. And it's an adventure. We make it a fun trip. It's not like it's miserable. Again, you said it's all about who you're with. We have fun. We have fun with it. I want to let you talk, but I have something else I want to say, so I'm going to give you a turn.
Oh, sorry, I fell asleep over here during your TED talk.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Oh, I was just going to say that what's also wild to me is that, when we get in your car, we've got snacks, we've got everything. But what does my son have? He has his iPad. What does your daughter have? iPad. So they've got everything they could need. And your truck even has, Wi-Fi. So we've got the iPads. They can watch TV. They can watch movies. They can play their games, everything they could possibly want. And what did we have when we were kids and drove that exact same journey? We had billboards that we looked at. When you got to the area the billboard started, we played the license plate game, or dad's windows had this like squeezy thing to
We
open
played
it.
Buck
We played Buck
Rogers.
Rogers. And that was
They were
it.
shooting at cars.
And if you had a book or a crossword puzzle or a word search, that was it. Like the fact that we were able to entertain ourselves. And the most annoying thing is, like, God forbid my son says, I'm bored. I'm like, you have the world at your fingertips right now. Go look out a window. That's what we had. Our TV, our iPad was the window.
Yeah. Our parents are like, God, I hope they go to sleep. Sleep longer.
Yeah.
Don't make a peep. They're going to eat in a bag of chips. They're like,
Yeah.
hopefully I don't make a noise and wake these kids up.
So I do
Go to
think
sleep,
I
kids.
don't know what I recommended driving back in the 80s if you had kids, but now the kids are
Well, now it's a lot easier. And I agree
Yeah.
completely with you when it comes to the convenience of not having to worry about how much your bag weighs, being able to take other things, especially like I said, if you're staying at a DVC resort or something that has like a efficiency, like a kitchen or something, you can bring food with you. It
Yeah.
makes it a little easier, a little more economically sound. So you can go and shop at like a discount store or something like a Sam's Club, a Costco, a BJ's, whatever you've got near you, one of these wholesale clubs, and get things that'll last you throughout the week. And you can bring your snacks, your waters, everything else. Because when you get on Disney property, it's going to cost you a lot more, even though you can go to Publix. Publix isn't outrageously expensive. You can get pretty much the same stuff you're going to get. Ironically, gas is cheaper the closer you get to Disney or on your way down there than where we live in Pennsylvania. I'm like, man, it's weird leaving from here, and then my gas is getting cheaper as I go down here. But when you fly, again, you've got to pack certain things. You got to make sure, and it's weird. Like when you have things like extra pairs of shoes and stuff, it doesn't, when you're bigger, okay, and you're like with me, like I wear like a size 12 shoe and they're not light in my bag. So if I want to bring multiple pairs of shoes for something, not like I'm like this fashionista or something, which I'm not, but if I have these and they're heavier, when I fly, I have to choose what I'm bringing, where I got to bring like 2 suitcases, and maybe I don't want to bring 2 suitcases. Maybe I want to bring some things back.
Also weigh your suitcase, because I have like a Samantha Brown, like, like kind of like looks like a snake skinny, whatever, that kind of like leathery. And then I have a hard suitcase I bought in Disney. And my first thought was, oh, the hard suitcase has to weigh more. And I weighed them both and the other one weighed more. So now I'm like, okay, take the lighter suitcase, because otherwise you're paying just for the container you're keeping it in. But yeah, that is a good point about shoes, because same with girls like to have, if they're going to go out and this is their time to have some nightlife, maybe as Disney moms, like you want to bring more than just your one pair of sneakers and flip-flops. So having extra shoes, like I find myself when I'm packing to fly kind of cutting back frequently on, I guess I don't need that, obviously as women we have a lot of accessories that we could possibly, ears, people that bring all their different ears to Disney and they want to wear a different pair every day. Like things like this can really add to the weight of your luggage. And, that's what's annoying about it, because 50 pounds is not a lot. Like that's not.
No, it's not. I invested in little things you hold up or whatever
Yeah, I
to
have that
measure
too.
your bag and everything, because I was having that happen, and I don't want to pay overweight charges. You know, tip when you're going and you're flying, always be good to the curbside check-in
Yes.
people. If you're a little over, they'll let it slide. You know, it's
Yeah.
better to slip them like 10 or 20 bucks
Mhm.
and not to pay $75 for an overweight bag that weighs 51 pounds or something. Like,
Right.
nah, don't worry, I got it. And they'll do what they do. But you always make sure you take care of those who taking care of you. Uh, mention, okay, flying, you can get down there. Remember, it's the time constraints from it, depending on your proximity to an airport. So if you say you have an hour drive to an airport, okay, there's an hour right there. You want to get there 2 hours before the plane goes to get through security, everything else. That's 3 hours before your flight even takes off. If you're where we are, it's a couple hour flight to Disney. Okay, you're at 5 hours right there.
Mhm.
MCO right now, especially with their baggage coming off, hasn't been the most reliable thing quickly to get your bags. So you're going to be at that airport probably about another hour before you even leave it once your plane touches down.
Mhm.
So you figure you're at 6 hours at this point. Then you have to get to property. You're going to drive for probably about 35 minutes, something like that, to the airport. So you get there, you're 6.5 hours all in from this point to get to it. Now you look at where are you in driving terms? How much longer would it have been for you to drive? Okay, for us in our case, you're going to talk about maybe it's another 8 hours to to drive down there, which seems like a lot, but add in the conveniences of whatever we want to bring. You can be comfortable in your seat. You can watch movies. You can stop when you want, go to some places, grab some food along the way. You don't have to deal, you might deal with traffic, but you don't have to deal with turbulence. You don't have to deal with somebody weird sitting next to you or behind you. Somebody that inevitably that person you fly with that goes to whatever eatery that opens a thing at 30,000 feet that has the
Onions.
onion smell that, like, first of all, something I'm like, I don't mind that if I'm eating it because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna eat this. It's good. But if somebody else is eating, I'm like, this is repugnant. I'm
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
can't even breathe in here.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Did you have to do that? And then they're like sitting here, I'm like eating, and they got stuff on your face. I gotta watch somebody eat. I don't want to do that. And then you push them out of the emergency exit. That's why I always sit on the emergency exit row in case I have to push somebody out. Which is also another thing with me. I always sit in the emergency exit because I have more leg room there. But I've also thought about it over time where I'm like, man, what happens if there is an emergency? Am I the guy that helps everybody out, or am I the guy that goes, every man for himself?
I think even if you weren't sitting there, you are that guy that would help everybody.
Yeah,
You
probably.
are.
But
That's
you know
just
what? I
your
want to
way,
be
and
the guy that just says, move it, old lady. I'm out of this
yeah.
plane.
Yeah. I want to say another thing to keep in mind in case anybody's listening and thinking this right now as we're talking about this. Another factor, obviously, that you have to put in to the drive is you're staying at a Disney resort that they started charging for parking years ago. Now, if you're staying at a luxury resort, it's even more expensive. Now, we're DVC. DVC does not pay to park at the resort. So that is a benefit.
Yeah, we don't pay to park at the resort per se, but
Yeah,
your
consider
dues
it
each
part of
year,
our
you're paying.
dues.
The mouse gets the money
Yes,
regardless. The
consider it
mouse is
part of
getting
our
your
annual
money.
dues. But
He's
I'm
There's
saying, so like if you are just two people and you're paying that price and you said, well, what would it be compared to airfare? But if you're a family of six and you're driving down, like that per day cost of parking, may be like, still appealing to you in, relation to instead doing airfare. But
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's
the
also
one
just nice to have a car while you're there. Like if you
Yeah.
want to go over and check out another resort, if you want it, God forbid, but there's an emergency or something, because we got off the cruise the one time and mommy was having really bad like neck issues, because she has neck issues like I do, but she had neck issues and I had to take her to over to like an urgent care. So it was like hop in an Uber, go sit at the urgent care forever and then come back. So sometimes it is just nice if you forgot something. Like you said, as much as we'd like to think the world ends at Magic Kingdom, there are some stores very conveniently located if you forgot something. So it is nice to have that as well.
Well, I think also, like, we were talking about what are the costs involved in things. Let's take it from the airline perspective. Airline, when I just went, Pennsylvania, I was flying out of BWI in Maryland, Baltimore Washington International for everybody. That was like $400 for a one way. When I was looking up flights, it was $400 one way, and it was the same coming back. And I was like, man, Disney's not even crowded. Like, what's with this? It would have been like $800
Yeah,
for
not
back
worth
and
it.
forth. And I
No.
said, not worth it. Absolutely not. And I have a truck, so I have like a Suburban. I have an older Suburban. And I'm usually about 2 tanks to get down to Disney. So you figure when I fill it up here, it's around $80, something like that. And then when I get down to like a Bucky's in South Florence, it was like 60 some dollars or whatever, and filled me up. So you figure for that point of things, let's just call it round up to everything. So it's a couple $100 down, couple $100 up. It's $400 there. Plus you figure if you fill up once in the trip, let's just call it $500. So right now I'm $500. I'm adding mileage to my truck. I know that because it's about 900 and some miles. I think it's like 950. I want to say somewhere around there. I could be wrong. I'm often wrong. Who knows? Who cares? I'm not proud. I'm not afraid to say so. So paying $500, saving the 300, because it's going to be less than that. Saving $300, I can go towards food in the parks. I can go towards a souvenir I want to get, or it could just stay in my bank account and wait for the next trip to Disney, get a gift card, whatever it is, put it towards something else. There's a savings there. So all that I'm really spending is my time. And I realize my method of driving down is I'm like, now I'm going to do the late night drive where I drive until I can't drive anymore, stay at a rest stop, sleep there. They're pretty safe down I-95. Don't get any weird ideas, anybody. But I can sleep overnight a couple hours. I go drive in. I'm there in the morning. Now, this stuff that Disney has for check-in, currently the promotion, you get that water park day. So if you're like, you know what? Most of these rooms, I'm going to be honest with you. Disney is pretty much, when they say your room will be ready around 4, that's going to be about the jumping off point, because most of the time it's like you're still waiting, depending on the occupancy at the parks and on Disney property. It's going to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
A good idea when you do get down there is probably talk to the front desk, go up there, give them a little magic yourself, slip them a couple bucks, whatever else it is, like you would do in a Vegas hotel. It's like, we're really tired. We had a long drive. If there's anything you can do at whatever comes available, because they don't know exactly what room they're assigning you at that point. They're just waiting for stuff to come open. And most people are waiting until that checkout time of 11 a.m. So that's a lot for this, the cleaning staff and everything to take care of. And I've talked about my challenge coins before I got for helping restore the Disney magic and all. Yeah. Rooms are always really clean. I haven't had any problems with cleanliness or anything. So I leave one of the coins and like a tip for the maid on the bed. And I'm like, thank you so much. Because they're kind of unsung heroes of Walt Disney World. Don't get the attention.
Definitely.
But draining away from what my point was, it's saying, and I do that a lot, flying is one cost, driving's another. So we can compare the two. It was $800 to fly, $500. And remember that $800 is just the flights. So depending on how you got down to the airport and how you got out of the airport, the other thing is when you're getting to Disney, pro tip, guys, listen to this, is do not get in a Mears taxi. Do not take a taxi from the airport. Take either you have a prearranged ride you found from another discount service, something that's trusted, or an Uber, Lyft, whatever it might be. And if you're really fancy, you want to start the magic and you got a few bucks and you want to throw it at something, arrange for the Disney minivan to pick you up. It's a nice way to start off your vacation. Yeah. If you can afford it, it is pricey to get that, but you can get the van, the big Suburban, the van, the whatever you can get in there to get your family. Make sure it fits your bags and all, because you don't want to have that surprise. And they're like, oh, we can't fit. We have too many bags for this. It's a great way to do it, but you're going to get more ripped off by the Mears stuff because they're having to pay for that concession from Disney to get their taxis in there, and it costs them a lot. Ubers, they still have to pay some different little fees into some things too, but it's not going to be as bad. I mean, I've taken an Uber from Walt Disney World to the airport and been like $40 some or something. All the taxis I take are verging on $100 from like MCO or to MCO when you take it, because it is very expensive.
That's a really good point though, Josh, because when you're saying it's not just the flight, it is like, so for us, I'm driving, and of course I'm not going to Uber an hour to the airport. I'm going to drive and I'm going to pay to park at the airport all week. So that cost. And then like you said, once you're getting to MCO, then it's your transportation to your resort and then back to the airport later. So there's a lot of extra costs in there that I don't know. And again, do what works for you. This is not, we're not being paid by any company to tell you drive. We're just saying that like for us right now, it's something that we've found that, and even with my son, you'd think an 8-year-old would be like, I'd rather fly, but he has a touch of anxiety as well. So for him, as long as it's fun, and I will give a little tip as well that somebody gave me, or I wouldn't say personally gave me. I saw it on several different TikToks where they talk about it, of taking masking tape and doing it across like the where your visors and stuff are in your car, and then write the names of the states you're going to be driving through. And then I make on the computer, like I actually, do like on Canva a little picture of Josh's car and have like all of us kind of like poking out of it just to make it fun. And then I like laminate it with like packing tape, and then you pin it or stick them it, whatever you want to do it. Some people do it with Velcro. And then each time you move a state, so kids in the car and even adults, honestly, can look, and it's not just saying, oh, we made it this. It really does cut down on the are we there yet? And even what I do is I don't just stop it at Florida. I do Florida and then Disney World. Because once you hit Florida, it doesn't mean you're in Disney. So that
you're still about 2.5 hours from the
Yes.
Florida line. It's usually about 2.5 to 3 hours from the
Right.
Florida
So
line.
I do think that's been a nice little tip that people had pointed out. And I was like, let me give it a try. I know there's also some parents that come up with like little goodie bags that they give out like either every hour or they give state to state. I haven't had to do that, but I do think having that visual for everybody in the car to be able to say, hey, now I know we're going to run a little longer on this podcast because it is just a lot to discuss, but and people can always pause us and watch us later. But a super fun time that we drove down was Josh, myself, and our sister Brianna did kind of like
It
a
was for your
last minute.
birthday. It was your
Yes,
birthday.
for my birthday, we did like a last minute kind of trip to Disney. My birthday's in November. We were like, hey, let's all go down. And I think it was like Josh and I were talking first, and we were like, and then we were like, let's invite Brianna. And when they picked me up at my house, Josh had like this insane karaoke setup in his car.
Yeah, I
with, like,
rigged it up.
screen and like everything and microphones. It was there lights. I can't like it was so cool. And so literally we
It
have all
was so us. It was
we
so
have
us.
I'll have to post some videos later, like, but we have videos of
We
us
have
just
videos of that?
yeah, I did
Oh
Snapchat
my
videos like the whole
goodness,
time.
that's
I remember because
awful.
Brianna was singing, what was it? Cher, she was singing, or who was it?
Oh,
She sang
she
Celine
was
Dion.
killing it. She was
It
killing
was
it.
somebody she was singing. We were like, oh my God, that sounds so good. And we were singing Total Eclipse of the Heart. It was such a fun way to keep the ride going. Also, before I forget, another great pro tip is if you have children that are of like a potty age, like small enough that they can go on like a little kid potty, pack one, because that's a great tip. Like when we stopped, my son, God bless him, the first time we ever drove, he was little. He had just gotten out of diapers. He didn't even want to wear a pull up in the car. We left at 7 p.m. to drive. He did not get out of that car seat the entire ride to Disney. He did not have to go to the bathroom. He was like, because to him, it was like if he went to bed and woke up the next morning, even though he didn't sleep the whole ride. But the way back, we had the little kitty potty in the car. And he said, Mommy, I have to go potty. And we were at a rest stop, but it was pouring rain, which is why we stopped. And I thought, this is so perfect. I don't have to drag my son out of the car in pouring rain in the middle of the night to go use the potty. Just let him pee, like put it on the seat, let him pee, and then just kind of get out,
No,
dump it out real quick.
Again, we all have our stories from the road or something if you've ever driven down there. Because again, there's so much time in the car. I mean, trust me, it's
Share
anywhere
your
from me, it's
stories.
anywhere
Share your
from
stories.
14 to 18 hours.
Yeah.
Depending on what happens, you can hit traffic. We've had things. I've seen some barbecues down on I-95 or things. I saw a whole bus on fire. God bless. I'm like, hope people got out of it. But you see so many things. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. I feel like there's two most expensive ways. I know we're running short on time here, but it's the two most expensive ways to get there. One's a chartered flight. Like if you charter a flight and you go there and fly private, probably the most expensive way you'll get to Disney. But the other way is probably taking the auto train. You can get train tickets probably for pretty cheap and get there on Amtrak. Go down there. They usually.
But what part of Florida does that
Sanford.
drop you in?
That drops you in probably Sanford is where the Amtrak station is in Sanford, Florida. And then they have stuff, they have different options, but the auto train, there's money to put your car on. There's if you want to do a sleeper car, if it's you're spending
that
thousands.
would be so fun. I would love to try it sometime.
No, I'd love to do it. I just don't have the I don't have
Yeah.
the ability to do it now, but that is definitely a different way. I tend to lean more towards the drive stuff because then you can throw everything you want in there. Flying is so convenient when it comes to just knowing you're going to get there quicker and you don't have to deal with certain things. But you've got headaches with flying, so you're going to have the airport stuff. You never know what security can be like at the airport. You never know if the plane can be delayed. Remember, that's the other caveat. If you drive, the time it's going to take you minus maybe traffic, but you can never count on what you'll be delayed in airport. I've been delayed from having a 11 a.m. flight to leaving after midnight. Okay. That
Or
happened.
canceled. What if you drive an hour to the airport, have your
Yes.
kids all ready to go, and your flight's canceled?
Exactly. And my daughter Peyton and I she's my favorite little travel companion. I love traveling with her more than anything in the world. We had a deal after this happened to us a couple times. We're like, if we see our flight is delayed, we're staying another day. I'm like, because I'm not staying in this airport as long. I've had so
I've
many
done
different
that.
things happen with like the airport, especially with MCO. God bless them. I love flying to Disney. I love going on their little shuttle. It reminds me of, getting on like a Disney ride when you get on the shuttle
Yeah.
at the airport to take you across. But again, there's so many things you can delay, but you're a master of your own domain and destiny when you are driving down. And like I said, if you're in proximity enough, if you're under, I'd say if you're under 15 hours, 16 hours, whatever it is, try the drive. Try it.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. It sounds daunting. What I do now is I put in my GPS stops. So I just put a stop into the first Buc-ee's that I stop at Florence, South Carolina. So it'll say something like 6 or 7 hours to get to that. So like I'm counting down for 6 and 7 hours. I'm not counting down from like 14 hours. So it fools your mind to that. And then when you're there, you're like, okay, now the next destination. Oh, it's only 6 or 7 hours. Again, you fool your mind. These little tips and tricks. So we've got driving, we've got flying, we've got the train. I don't know if anybody else has a different way of doing that. There's no boat. I mean, you could take like a cruise and find your way to Disney somehow out of one of these, but I don't think that's probably the best way to do it. I mean, there's probably like a cruise out of New York or something that'll go and like kind of stop at Port Canaveral. But again, it's like that's stacking trips, not just your destination is just Disney.
Yeah.
So I want to say on this, we want to go into our shout outs for the week. So Gina will tell you who we're shouting out. Shout out.
Yes. Our shout outs this week, we are going to shout out Amy Walton, frequent commenter on our channel. Appreciate you, Amy. Jump Street, the Kirby's, and Dennis B. Shout out from Bring Back the Magic. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely.
Also,
And want to mention our sponsor one more time, Theme Park Chuckle. Get yourself the 99 Problems, but a Stitch Ain't One t-shirt available now on themeparkchuckle.com. Give them a look, guys, and show them some love.
yes, I love that. I also want to say, please, in addition to my normal reminder of following us on our socials, we are BBT Magic Podcast pretty much on every platform, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We're Bring Back the Magic. Obviously, we have our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. But also, again, I can't stress enough how much we really do love you guys' comments. I think if you look on anything that we have posted, you will see in the comments, we are always commenting back to everybody. We really do love the engagement, but we also just enjoy hearing from you. I like hearing the alternative perspectives people may have about things. But also on this video, share your stories. How do you frequently get to Disney? Are you solely a flyer? Have you driven? Do you have any fun tips or tricks for people that do drive or for people that fly? Has anyone done the auto train? Let us know. Comment. We would love to hear it from you.
Those were all the auto train people. Wasn't that Disney magic?
Or has anyone chartered a flight to Disney? We would also like to be your friend. Be our friend. Be our friend.
Yeah, if you got an extra seat in there, I'll ride luggage class on a chartered flight. I don't care.
Anyone
All
with
right,
a private
guys.
plane, you got a friend.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will see you next time. Please watch your head and step as you exit the podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bring back the magic for all to see. Together we'll discover all the joy and glow. In every story, there's a little bit of gold. Join our podcast adventure, let the magic unfold.